So it's always a pleasure to work with Harry and Ottie. They're phenomenal athletes. All the athletes put so much work in, and everybody deserves it. There's no doubt about that. That top 10, they're all working so hard. One of the things I would say is both of them are very strong-willed, determined individuals. And they have their own way about preparing for World Championships and major events. With Harry and Ottie also being a couple, it does bring strengths to what they do. It's great to have that support around. But they have very different routines.
See, Harry and Ottie, everyone knows them. They're two of the nicest people you'll ever meet on the water, and they're so good to everyone around them. They'll always have a chat. If you have a question, they love to help. And it's great to watch people on the shoreline watching Harry and Ottie because they're so good at what they do. It'll always draw a crowd to when they're paddling.
The women's squirt boat. She has potential to go gold, gold, gold. Let's see what she can do here in the C1. She'd like to make history and be the first one to win a medal here. Let's see what she's got.
Determination they have. Like, I was looking around December last year, and it was the coldest, most bitterest days, and both Harry and Ottie were out paddling, and it really made you think these people are incredibly dedicated to the sport, and it takes a certain person to do that.
3 seconds left. What's he going to throw? Looking for a nice space sticking the space loop on the buzzer, hitting the.
The gold medal didn't mean that much for me, but just getting to see her show how good she is and what she's been training to do for the last 3 years was incredible.
My brain can only really think about one thing at once. I had a lovely morning and I hung out with Harry and we went on a nice dog walk. Like, I just emotionally changed a little bit around competition, but I felt good. I felt strong, I felt happy.
Yesterday, we'll see what she's going to do here. I'm excited to watch this, and there she goes.
There you go, right away into some cleans, holding her paddle nice and tall, getting those incredibly difficult as she links it into a tricky woo, starting the tricky woo clean into some nice cartwheels.
Squirt boating at the World Championships was phenomenal. To be there and feel so prepared and so strong in my boat was unbelievable. Pushed for rides that I didn't think I was necessarily capable of. My scores were higher than I expected and I felt really good in my boat. I went in and landed a new ICF women's record and like very close to the highest ever men's score.
Ottie not only achieved their goal, but also putting a showcase down for each of them individual disciplines. The squirt boating, setting a new record for, women's scores in squirt.
Putting down that massive ride where she beat all the men, beat all the women, broke all the records. Because the main thing is, in squirt, there's so few competitions. And there's hardly anything going on social media that there's no reference point for it. Actually, having Ottie so close by is a key driver for me, like the whole way through, from where I did my last Worlds, where I was effectively not at all in the competition, to this one where I've come in second place only to Ottie, which is really cool. The key thing that keeps you driving, keeps me working, is Ottie's presence there. And having her close by, that's the only visibility I had to women in sport. So I think for me, actually to push me to that next level, having her around was so valuable in that respect.
And then to be there in finals and again be able to control my head game and just move my body and do exactly what I need to do with a big crowd and everyone cheering. And I did it. I did what I needed to do. Another high record of the day. I would have won the men's. All I can remember really is just feeling so loved and supported, whether it was just like a thumbs up from a random person, like a little wave, just people people were there and they were rooting for us, and that doesn't normally happen at international events. You have a couple of people, but not hundreds of people. We have Hitomi, who's the reigning world champion. She has a heart of gold. She's really she's gorgeous on the inside and on the out, and such a good ambassador for our sport and someone who's inspired me to work hard.
I think that was the ultimate goal. That I'd already fully surpassed my expectations for that event. Ottie's basically been my hype girl the whole way through. So I set myself these goals and she turned around to me and she said, "No, you can beat that. You're not aiming for finals, you're aiming for a medal."
There's a lot going on there. C1, a showcase event. She came to that knowing that she had the potential to win it. But again, she wanted to lay down a ride that the women could be proud of.
And we've got C1 finals this evening. So all in all, very exciting.
Sets up. This is a huge ride here. Massive loop. I'd say
it was the first year with the C1 women's, and everyone who competed in that, I have to say, really threw down incredible rides. For the first year, the competition was fierce, with the likes of Tamsin and Becky both putting down incredible rides in a final. It's really good to see for people coming into the sport. It really encourages people when Ottie can just go out and smash every sport, men's scores included. It's really cool to see that, and it proves that dedication does get you where you want to be.
C1 category here at the World Championships in 2022, coming to from Nottingham, England.
The C1 competition was so much fun. I loved being in a team with Tamsin and Becky, and I think we were a strong unit. We had so much support and love from friends and family.
C1 finals was that afternoon. They were really excited. That was so exciting to be there with all three Brit girls. I can't even explain. I finished prelims in second place, and that was really exciting. That was surpassing my expectations. So C1 was an interesting one for me. So it wasn't my best performance, and that's fine. I let my head get in the way, but it was still a really positive experience, especially watching Becky smash it out the water.
I laid down some of my highest ever kind of C1 rides in twin waves, the world's feature, and was able to celebrate the success of having a C1 women's category with my friends. Becky got, I think, the ride of her life. She did really well and ended up with the silver medal. Annika from Germany came third, and so then Baven and Tamsin were in fourth and fifth. And to be with those lovely ladies and celebrate C1 women's was really nice.
Energy. Look at that beautiful Gigi Prod boat by Harry Price. Warner paddle in hand, PQK top on. He is ready. He has put in so much time.
Harry Price has just come into the seniors, really. He's had a few major events, building stepping stones into laying down that ride he's really looking for. The senior men's is a stacked event. I mean, to be honest, even from a GB point of view, to get in the team is actually a big achievement. For Harry, it's not been a battle, but it's definitely had to paddle smart, train smart.
You see him at inlet, you see him throwing down. I love that British kid, looking sexy in that Gigi Prod. Harry Price, let's do a three, representing Great Britain, let's give it up for Harry Price!
Semi-finals, 2 rides, 1 count. So now we're away from consistency of having to score 2 really good rides, and you just need 1 great ride to move through. Because of not paddling so well in the quarterfinals, I was in the first semi-final out of 2, and I just had to go in and I had to put a ride down.
Harry's dedication to preparation for this World Championships has just been outstanding. From a coaching point of view, there's not much you could really ask for more than what Harry provides. Each day he turns up for training, he's positive, he's motivated, he comes in knowing what he wants.
First runs out the way, not great, there's still more to give. I think it's hard looking back and reflecting on it now, but I imagine the pressure just got to me a little bit. Being in 10th place, I was in the fortunate position that I knew the score already, because 10 paddlers had gone before me, so I knew what I needed to get into the semi-finals. I was in a really exciting heat. I had Tom Dole, Dane Jackson, and 2 other Brits, Gavin Pringle.
So there's a lot of talk of who's going to win, like who is it? Obviously, the big name that keeps coming up, Dane Jackson, multi-time world champion.
What it do, what it does, where you been, where you was, but it ain't what it is. Facing the mud, y'all really be hating the mud, said I can't pick it up, but I did. Y'all know goon put too much bass in the sub, cup full of blood and I gave it a chug. Wait till your neighbors
right
get all
off
snugged
the
in,
bat,
play this real loud,
looking for that lunar loop.
One of the best kayakers in the world at the minute. So, and in the lead up, he was at the North Fork, got sick, didn't get to train, turned up one day beforehand. Our boy Dave McClure, he just knocks it out of the park and just absolutely trashes Dane in the first few rounds, which Dane's a great guy, but obviously being part of the Irish team, you know, you want your guy to win, so.
Semi-finals are one of the more intense rounds because everybody wants to be in that top 5 in the final.
Seconds to go, going for the lunar loop the other way. Nope, going for the lunar, looking into the cartwheels, going for the tricky woo, backing it.
So on the day I had Den there, I had Ottilie there, and I knew I just needed to go and do a ride, and that's what I did. I won my semi-final and that secured me a place in the finals. However, because I was in the first semi-final to go, it meant I did have to watch the second one, hoping that I would beat one of them, which is a really hard thing to do because you want all your friends and everybody who you've trained with for a long time to do as well as possible, but it's conflicting because at the same time you want to be in the finals and you want to have a chance to paddle again. The finals went until 7 o'clock in the evening, so that meant we had an entire day to kind of kill, not let the nerves build up too much, but also we didn't want to tire ourselves out. So fortunately, a bit of a blessing in disguise, but also a bit of a nightmare, is we'd been creating some t-shirts and hoodies for the World, but they'd been stuck at customs for 3 weeks. Not exactly what we wanted to be dealing with, but anyway, a massive box of t-shirts arrived on the morning of finals day, so I had something to distract me. I spent maybe 3 or 4 hours just packing t-shirts. Because I went through in 5th place into the finals, that meant I was up first, so I was the first to go in my first senior finals. It was very exciting, and I knew I had 4 incredible paddlers to follow me. 4 paddlers who are all capable of winning the event and can do every trick, can do it clean, can do it linked, and 4 of my heroes as well, really.
Then having Harry as well, getting to the men's final, and he's so many years ahead of him as well. He did so incredibly well against the competitors he was up against.
First ride's down. Not great, not amazing, but there's still 2 rides to go, and that's the beauty of finals. You have 3 opportunities to show what you can do. First round is done of finals. The scores aren't really high, apart from Dane. He's gone in and done a 1400 and he's straight into place number 1. My second run, I stayed in the feature for the entire time, but still a little bit shaky and still not where I wanted to be, much to my disappointment. I think I still improved on my first run, around 1200 points, but it still wasn't enough and I was still going to have to do a lot more.
So K1 is the one I cared the most about. I think, unfortunately, it is the most respected category because it's the biggest and most people do K1 freestyle, is the normal kayak, I guess. So we started the week off with prelims and I felt pretty shaky and awful. I paddled pretty terribly and got back in the fan and felt really, I lacked confidence for a couple of hours and I was like, oh, can I do this?
So the morning comes along and Ottie's feeling under the weather on that day, and it's an horrible situation for an athlete to be in.
felt a bit ill and awful, and I had a nap in the van.
Their whole goal is to reach their full potential, and all of a sudden, you know, on a day like that where you're not feeling 100%, that can be quite a worry.
We were parked next to each other, both in our vans, and we had that conversation all day of, oh, not feeling great, but if you go to sleep, you're going to wake up and feel worse.
The dog was soaking wet. He climbed in the van trying to hide out from the rain. And I was like, oh, this is awful.
So obviously everyone in the finals, incredible paddlers, with Harry there, paddling with him a lot over the last year, living in England. It's been amazing to see that he's gotten to this point where he's one of the big names now in kayak freestyle.
There's still one ride left, that's finals. It's only one ride that counts, so it can still change up massively. I've still not done enough. It's still, the scores aren't high. Fortunately, I've got Den there, super coach.
And that ride counts. It's one ride, you know, to make, it's a make or break situation. So, you know, for Harry straight away, you know, he has to reflect, understand what happened, but also move on.
We walked around the back of the hill just to get away from the intensity of the competition a little bit. We did some exercises just to reset. He got me holding onto his paddle, and we had a little bit of a wrestling match just to, I think he wanted to show me that I'm strong.
I'll just give a few shakes of the paddle, and I'm just feeling if the strength's back in his arm.
For some reason, I got pumped up. Becky was playing ABBA at the top of her speaker's volume in the car park.
Ottilie went for a bit of a nap, and I woke up and I definitely felt worse. I know I felt worse when I woke up. And then I left my van, and Ottilie got up already somewhere else, and she was out there with Becky, and they were having a great time. Ottilie looked like she put right up, and I was feeling miserable, and I was a little bit jealous, to be honest with you.
But right now, it's all about the men's final, as Great Britain is cheering for Harry Price.
Yeah, I just wanted to paddle like Harry on the third run, and I wanted to give it all I had.
Sitting in bronze as he's off to go. Mason,
Harry.
We were across from the crowd, and you could see everyone's heart just drop. Everyone's like, oh no, like, what's going on? All the photographers were all talking. It was just like...
So Harry takes the flush. That's something all athletes need to be prepared for. It doesn't make it any easier.
I put the paddle blade in for the entry move. I flush. If you want to win a World Championships, you don't want to flush on the last ride. I'm in the eddy, not the best place to be. Ideally you want to be in the hole, but I still do have 35 seconds on the clock. So I paddle as hard as I can back up into the hole, and this is the part I'm most proud of. I wasn't thinking, I just did tricks, and that was the best 30 seconds of paddling I've done in a long time, and I was really proud. I didn't stop for the entire 30 seconds, and I paddled like me, and even though it wasn't going to win, potentially I'd still be in 5th place coming off that ride. I was happy.
You know, one of the most impressive things there was the way Harry just pulled it together. Got back in that eddy, he did his mental warm-up, dropped straight back in, threw a phenomenal start to the ride. If that ride kept going, it could have been the gold.
Orbit to the right, linking it into cartwheels, linking it into a tricky loop. That was so many points.
It's unbelievable, and it just shows that if you work hard and you put lots of effort into something and you love it, you can get really damn good at it.
That she was our junior world champion at the last world championship. Women's class has gone directly from the junior world champion to the female world champion. I don't think anybody has.